You gotta smile just waking up every day and seeing green candle after green candle after green candle. Welcome to another edition of XFeed. What's up? My name's The Schiller. Today, we're going over some of the latest and greatest and the fact that we are just seeing everybody essentially going all in. The FOMO stage is back. It's interesting that NFTs have been brought with the entire market for the most part. We'll see what that looks like. Everybody's targets are going crazy for the end of 2025. Well, there's geopolitical issues and people are wondering, okay, when do we have some kind of a correction? Do we have that? Do we not? Do we have to wait until 2026? Everybody's trying to come up with rhymes and reasons for everything, but it does, generally speaking, feel like people are ready to go all in. Let's look at exactly what that is. Official from the Pudgy Penguins account. We're excited to announce that BTCS has acquired 3 Pudgy Penguin NFTs to add to their treasury. NASDAQ BTCS, a blockchain technology consensus solution, is a publicly traded blockchain company listed on the NASDAQ exchange that holds over 300 million in ETH. So the portfolio diversity. A little bit of crypto, deciding to get a little bit of NFTs. And I mean, if we go to OpenSea and we look up Pudgy Penguins, they're at 14 ETH right now, which is $66,000. Holy smokes. So somebody bought 3 of them just for their treasury. There's only 10,000 of these. Question for all of these collections is, do we have an institutional injection to the market like we've seen in the general crypto space? Camel asking, what's the biggest fumble you've had in crypto? Because we're good friends, I'll give you the lowdown for mine. So Proof was a collection that came out. They also ended up doing Moonbirds way back in the day with Kevin Rose, and these immediately went to about 100 ETH. No word of lie. If we look at some of the top last sales, you can see 125, 119, 113, 100, 104. These are all the same. There is absolutely no difference with them, except maybe there's like an ID or serial number difference. There's 1,000 of them. And I minted one, and this was, what time did they end up? December of 2021. So we're right around New Year's. Aries Swan, what's going on? Welcome to Storytime, buddy. How we doing? And we had tokens that were coming out and getting launched. I think Ethereum name service did one. We had Gastow, and there was a lot of coins where if you just had transactions on Ethereum or if you had volume of any sort, you just qualified for these airdrops. And everybody, there was just so much excitement, and there wasn't a whole lot of tokens that people were super into on the Ethereum side. People were posting about how much they were making off LP pools because they were the trading volume was so high on certain ones for that. And that was a token that came out on New Year's called Year. And it was a honeypot. And the concept with a honeypot is you can put money and buy, but you cannot sell. So it essentially takes your money and then you're out of luck. So I sold one of these proof passes because I was like, oh, listen, we're having all this exciting times. You know, I'm feeling a little bit of FOMO. And then I lost all the money that I had on the proof. And then proof went to 100 ETH, which would have been like a 50 to 70x, whatever the hell it was at the time. Woo! Good times. Good times. So on the days that we feel like FOMO, and remember, things can always look a little bit different, or he could have just bought in a CryptoPunk instead and then had $250,000. CryptoPunk's right now selling for about 250,000, which is absolutely insane. So I wanted to talk about Bitcoin here for a second because there is, I think I forgot to save the post itself, but what's something, because I highlighted this other day and I kind of FOMO'd into it because I was like, I remember doing this before, and then I was like, you know, it's going to cost way too much to really like actually start yielding any sort. So the concept with this game is it's a DeFi game where you have a room, and I have like this potato miner that has helped me earn 0.002 Bitcoin a day, which I don't even know if that's like a cent, right? But the concept with it is that you're able to buy other miners and they'll give you more, but you need to have a garage space that has the energy to have it. But what they did that was really, really cool that they didn't do before is you can actually mint the room. You can mint the device that you have instead of just selling it back at like a 60% rate to what you bought it or whatever, you can actually take this to the secondary market. So it's even becoming more about your personal ownership with that. And I think that aspect's really cool. So even though I sold some components of it, wanted to give some props because I do really love that addition to it and adding to what they got. My offers are going crazy. NFL All Day, which is the collectibles platform for NFL moments, buyback account, buying things up. Wait, hold on a second. So not only are we getting tokens within the space doing buyback programs, we're having sports collectible platforms doing buybacks. Revamped new all-day season with 3 fun modes, presence with NBA Top Shot at the National and Fanatics booth. None of that says NFL All Day is folding to me. Bad day to be a hater. Let's have a fun season. A lot of people that don't like certain collections because they've either got screwed on it or they think people that are involved in it are incompetent on sorts. And listen, just be a fan of whatever you like and ignore everybody else's thoughts because who the hell cares? Zagabond with a pretty big announcement over at Anime coin to be exact. Zagabond's a part of Azuki. Azuki is a NFT collection and or brand, depending on how you want to phrase it, that is focusing on animes. And they seem to be doing a pretty good job of it. Listen, I've been pretty critical of like what I've seen from Azuki's like TV shows. I haven't really liked them, to be totally honest, like the episodes. I've always vibed with the art, and I thought like their IRL events, their merch drops have always been awesome, but I just I haven't really connected with like their TV series yet. But that being said, excited to announce Anime's advisor council with a couple different people. The big three has years of capital markets and crypto expertise. They'll work with me to set institutional strategy and take anime global, not even our final form. Notice that everything this year is about institutional. Let's keep on that trend. GameSquare announcing something regarding Azuki and Anime Coin. We're excited to announce a new strategic partnership with the Anime Foundation in collaboration with Azuki. Anime Coin Foundation, with GameSquare named agency of record under a $2.5 million agreement. This deal expands our Web3 strategy, adds Anime Coin into our treasury alongside our targeted 250 mil treasury of Ethereum, and brings together anime, gaming, and blockchain culture. In collaboration with Anime Coin and Azuki, we'll launch a new gaming and meme coin merchandise, growing global awareness for Anime Coin and create immersive fan experiences. So GameSquare, first they go up, they buy like a $5 million punk or whatever the hell it is. They didn't get paid with cash, it was like equities, whatever. And they have a $250 million treasury for Ethereum, which is different from the one before, right? Like GameSquare is different than the one that Pudgy was bringing up for the BTSC, CS, NASDAQ. Oh, we got to be paying attention. But Azuki, just firing all these announcements. Apparently they're doing something with watches now. Is there supposed to be audio on this? I think they forgot to put the audio. They absolutely did. Oh wait, no, it's me. This is a... Okay, so yeah, I guess they're doing watches. That's exciting, right? Right? That is the question. I don't know. Again, like all these brands and stuff are cool, but I still think that when you look at most of this, everybody's just going to be maxis of whatever the hell that they're into, right? So if you like anime, if you like the concept of Azuki, maybe you'll go and get a watch. Is it something that people that are in the Web3 space feel connected to? I don't know. Does that ever end up changing? So here's a talk from Mike Novogratz talking about like the XRP Army, and we'll kind of tie the two into each other.
Crypto people, so like why?
Let me ask you a question. Why do you think XRP still exists?
Because they have a great marketing team and a lot of money.
What do you think a lot of money from?
From selling their coin and their ICO, their initial offering, right? I mean,
listen, the XRP Army care as much about their token as the
Mhm.
Bitcoin Army cares about theirs. It's just that simple.
It has gotten very tribal.
All crypto
Literally all of crypto is. So, like, her point's kind of stupid, respectfully, of course, respectfully. But no matter what we've seen in the space, everybody is just going to like whatever the hell they do. And so I mean, to make like a bigger argument, right? People talk about, oh, we need like a new influx of capital and everything else. Well, no, theoretically, you just need the people that are maxis of whatever collection you have to have something that's like super successful, whether they come into some sort of money or there's an airdrop where people are able to go and rebuy things within the community. And earlier on, I think one of the big things that have changed, and using like Bored Ape as a reference here, back in the day, there were drops that happened like frequently with Bored Apes, right? They had the mutant apes, they had the dogs, they did merch and everything else. But like when we're talking about having something that's given to you, including ApeCoin, and back in the day, one of the big components with it, and the reason that it went to the heights that it did, is these drops happened, and all of a sudden people were like, holy crap, we have like a ton of money, we could rebuy this collection, or we could go out and buy something else that we think hasn't moved or is undervalued, or whatever the perspective is. And moving along here, we don't really see when there's a big influx. Let's just use, I don't know, a random example, Persona. So Persona is like this anime sort of collection. Let's hypothetically assume for Persona, they randomly came in and all of those holders got an airdrop of $15,000 of some random token, VC backed at Moon for no friggin' reason, bada 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 bada. How much of that 15,000 goes back into the Persona collection from those holders? I would argue a lot more now than back in the day when people were so speculative and everything else. Now it's a little bit more based off of, is something going to happen? Does the team have the track record? Do we want to go out and explore more? Because I think, talking of the tribalism, people are just obsessed with whatever they're obsessed about. And it's very, very, very hard for them to look at something else and be like, yep, sure, I'll go out and get there. So you're just going to have whatever your fan base is for it. But that's my random rant of the day. PSA, Lucadet's Instagram account might be hacked. This is just a PSA for anybody within the space. It doesn't matter who you are. Lucadet's official account was highlighting some Igloo Treasury company. Obviously, it's fake. They throw the address to it. Those announcements wouldn't happen like that. It's weird. Always avoid it. Just, yeah, it's nope, and no. Ubisoft is now live on Immutable Play, the first Web 2 studio of many. So to try to pair the two conversations together about tribalism and new individuals coming into the space and needing something to gravitate to. So Might and Magic Fates. Might and Magic is a very well-known, well, actually maybe not very well-known, but relatively well-known brand within the gaming space. It was pretty big, multiple years ago, but now they're trying to do something in Web3. And so when they come into the space, how quickly can they get attached to a new IP that they've never heard of versus jumping in saying, hey, you know what? I want to get involved in crypto. Oh, there's a brand that I know and like. Let me go check it out. So I think that's something to watch. More from Robbie Ferguson here, though. 2025 is the first year that major stock exchanges have invited Web3 gaming to speak on live TV. Now, it's not the first time that they've highlighted anything to do with Web3. I remember they used to have bits on Zedrun at one point, which was super, super strange. But Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, some of the top cryptos, they've talked for a while. But I don't know if this is completely accurate of like the first year, because I feel like it's happened before, but it was just kind of one or two offs. Google searches for altcoins just entered price discovery. Retail interest is coming back. A little bit of an altcoin season, if you will. Now, one thing that I wanted to highlight here is on one of the episodes that I do for the RWA Segments podcast, which is down in the link in the description below if you want to check that out on YouTube or my bio on X, is, do you know the platform called Courtyard? Let's bring it up right quickly. Courtyard NFT, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. So this was a very notable brand within Web3, and they started off just having created cards available for them. But the question is, do you know how they originally started back in the day? So here's a quick story about how they initially seeded the cards for Courtyard. Let's go back to episode 21 where we had Nicholas Lejeune from Courtyard talking about how they spent $500,000 initially to see their platform with graded Pokemon cards.
So you want to make me sound like crazy? The more I hear back about the story of how we started, the more I'm like, I was crazy at the time. Yeah, so for those who haven't heard the story, so I used to be at Google. So I spent like 7 years at Google, and I was kind of bored of, I did this other job at YouTube where I was managing music labels. And I did that for 2 years thinking I was going to work in the music industry. And I realized the music industry is not as great as it looks. It's much shinier from outside than when you're inside. And so I thought this new NFTs, hash mask at the time, I saw those NFTs pop up and I was like, oh, why don't we do it with physical assets? And what is in common with all those people? They're all like 20 to 35-year-old, mostly male. What do they all have in common? I'm one of those. I had Pokemon card as a kid. And so I was like, nostalgia is really powerful. Let's start with Pokemon card. But then initially at the time, it was any NFT drop was selling out like instantly. And it was like $2 million of sales like instantly. Every time I was building Courtyard, we would stop to do, there's this new mint of whatever new project was starting, and like, let's just go and like try to mint this project. And so in my mind, which looking back is a bit crazy, I was like, we can easily do $500,000 Pokemon card. And so initially I wanted to sell them as a closed pack and then wait for a week, buy the card, and then do the reveal. And I talked to a good friend of mine who we were in San Francisco at the time, and I remember we were having dinner, and I was like, how are you going to get all those cards in time? Like, you crazy. And so he actually offered us to lend us money. Like, he lent us $500,000. He did really well at Tesla.
I want to just imagine for a second, you're at dinner with the boys and you tell your friend, yeah, we need to figure out how to get $500,000 worth of graded Pokemon cards. And they look at you and just say, I got you. Nah, that's crazy.
As an engineering manager. So Tesla stock rose a lot. He gave us $500,000 for that. And the deal was, I'm going to buy those cards. You own them. If I don't sell out, you get the card. Anyway, you can sell them on eBay. And after 6 months, I pay you back the money. And I give you like some part of the company for that. And so we made that deal. And we were off to the start with $500,000. He's very nice to have lend us that type of money that really helped us kickstart Courtyard. And we went out on the biggest auction houses, and we just like bought every card we could. At the beginning, we were like, anyway, if we put the highest price and then somebody else is willing to pay as much, we just pay a bit more than them. And so let's just buy all the card we can. And so I remember I had the first auction, I had $250,000 of cards. Like, I was buying tons of cards. And I remember the auction house calling me like, can you prove that you have the money in your bank account to pay for that? So all the cards arrived initially at my apartment. And so we, all the people, we were a small team of like 3-4 people initially. And we were all in my apartment in San Francisco, like learning on how to take pictures of the cards, like inventorizing.
So a couple things with this. Number one, if you've enjoyed that clip and you're wanting to check more, we got 60 plus episodes. This one is particularly a recap one. So, I mean, we got the likes of Spencer from Orange Cap Games that's doing Vibes and bought Moonbirds. We've got people that are from Wits, What Is the Studio, that talked about how getting on Epic Games works. We've talked with the head of Web3 at Rolling Loud. Yes, the music concert. This is one of my favorite episodes because it gets some of the best clips from each of them. But we obviously have a ton of individual episodes. And again, link in the description below or in my bio on X to hear this. So the theme of the episode, like today, right, like for the the show, not the podcast component, is talking about institutions. And you probably have seen within the physical collectible space that Pokemon cards have gone absolutely crazy. And then you pause for a second and you hear stories like that of a single entity spending $500,000 on Pokemon cards. And then you think, well, there's more than just Courtyard that exists out there for these digital collectibles. And so, yes, there's an absolute craze around Pokemon, but is some of the Pokemon card run itself institutionally driven in a different sense? That's going to be it for this edition of XFeed. Thank you so much for coming on through, Harry Swan. You're an absolute G. Hope you're doing phenomenal. And thank you guys so much for watching. Any likes, shares, comments on YouTube, X, where the hell ever. Appreciate it. But I'll catch you guys tomorrow as per usual. Have yourself a good one.